game between the Packers and the Vikings. Let's throw it out to Minneapolis with our announcers, Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, and Aditi Kinkabwala.
JB, Happy New Year from Snow. A little bit. Archie's Week 18 game's always a little funky. Do you rest starters? Do you play your guys? We'll get into that. But here we go with both of these teams.
Well, two teams in different situations. And for Minnesota, it's a disappointing season. But they had a strong finish to December, and they want to finish starters in bubble wrap. And he's hoping that this week is the reset that they need to rest, recharge, and get focused for their wild card game.
Meantime for the Vikings, all eyes on J.J. McCarthy, back from the hand injury. They wanted to get him one more
chance to prove that he is QB1 for the future. For Justin Jefferson, not the big plays or the eye-popping numbers, but he's got a lot to play for. Only 53 yards for his sixth straight 1,000-yard season, and that's going to tie Randy Moss and Mike Evans.
And one of the questions, will this be the final time that Harrison Smith runs through that tunnel? Vikings and Packers next on CBS. If there's anything between these two historic franchises, Green Bay and Minnesota, Packers winning the toss, they have deferred. And so Matt LaFleur is going to put his defense onto the field, hoping that they can bounce back after what was a nightmare. Depending on what happens between the Bears in their game coming up later. And Philadelphia, Minnesota, of course, eliminated from postseason contention, but they were awfully impressive last week. The Christmas Day victory over Detroit, eliminating the Lions from playoff contention as they ended the day having won 4 straight. Here is the kick return. Ty Felton going to cross the 20 and gets
action since the first half of Week 16. But he insisted to me that rust will not be an issue in the playoffs. He told me I faced a live rush all year. And
much better job of making some big-time throws down the field. Today, a little bit different feel. He'll be playing against a lot of backups on this Green Bay defense.
McCarthy's going to go play action, climbs the pocket, throws a laser beam, and completes.
Season to start his career. And that was a big passing window. He was wide open on that play.
And that was Trayvon Diggs that he was working against. Diggs, the big story, signed and claimed off waivers after he was released by the Cowboys on Tuesday.
Hawks in the National Football League, and he's got to get up to speed rather quickly in this defense.
Vikings working from the Packers 29. Little misdirection here with Jefferson. We'll see where the officials mark him here. This appears to be enough for a first down as they pick up 10 more. Here, career low numbers that he's had from his lofty standards, but trying to finish strongly here for his young quarterback.
Yeah, remember that play right there. The elite performers at wide receiver, and it's so dependent on not just your performance, but the entire offense. And he's had a great attitude despite his numbers being down.
McCarthy running for his life. Boy, somehow evades the sack. Look at that stiff arm from McCarthy. Boy, he's taking on all comers. Part of that as McCarthy picks up 7. Arch, I'm not sure that Kevin O'Connell wants his young quarterback taking those kind of hits.
Not somebody who is
after the play was over. Taunting, offense number 9.
I would shelf that because it's just you don't want to go out picking physical fights with defensive players. That's not. You don't put that down.
How does he finish the season as he comes back from that hairline fracture in his right throwing hand that he sustained against the Giants a couple of weeks ago? This is Xavier Scott, the young undrafted second-year running back out of Maine. Trayvon Diggs among the tacklers.
He's going to keep it rather simple so those guys can go out there, play fast, play with great fundamentals, and try to get after McCarthy.
3rd and 17. They get it to Jefferson, trying to get them in a much better
game going. They then had that nice scramble, evading the pass rush, but the taunting penalty puts them in 3rd and long, and now they have to kick the field goal.
So here's Will Reichard, who has authored arguably the greatest kicker season by a kicker in franchise history. And that success rate. You ever try your hand at curling?
With a barbell? I grew up in Arizona. Yeah, you know that, right? I mean, you have just a basic level of research into your personnel, my friend.
You spent your early years in Wyoming, though. I guess you were for the first time. Early stages, first quarter on this final Sunday of the NFL regular season. Reichard gets us back into it. Going to take a bounce, and the Packers are going to take a knee there with Jacoby.
Pressure rate, and he's got the second-team offensive line
to work with. So I would imagine a lot of run game, a lot of Emmanuel Wilson for the Packers offense.
No, Josh Jacobs, their lead running back, getting him a week of
who will be playing up front for the offensive line for the Green Bay Packers.
Tune working from the gun, again handing off to Emmanuel Wilson, who makes the start. So Clayton
against the Vikings, 3rd and long, and everybody at the line of scrimmage.
Harrison Smith comes off the edge, and that pass deflected at the line of scrimmage and incomplete. It was Andrew Van Ginkel, who has been just sensational
in batting down footballs. Good start for this defense.
30-year punter Daniel Whelan on for the first time. And an excellent-looking kick, end over end. As Jalen Naylor is going to signal fair catch. Is going to take a gorgeous Packers bounce. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings playing today without Aaron Jones, the lead running back, who's out with the hip and ankle injuries. And so that means Jordan Mason and Xavier Scott are going to be handling the running duties. We'll check the marker here after the carry by Mason. It's a run of 11 if it sticks. J.J. McCarthy, what are you seeing?
Spiro, I am. And look, he told us that hairline fracture in his hand, the pain level is about an 8.5. But Kevin O'Connell said that game reps count 10x. And since this is his only play, his demeanor on the sideline proves it.
Yeah, he was fired up clearly after that early run. The stiff arm as Mason tries to take on tacklers. Let's go back down to Aditi.
So, of course, he came off the field, Spiro. He had that penalty. I'll tell you this, Spiro, the veteran Brian O'Neill, he just laughed also.
Yeah, they know what the inner makings of this kid is. It has been something that's popped up at various points of the season, but that fire was part of who J.J. McCarthy is. High pass, high catch here by Jordan Addison.
Ability, but there's so much attention on his mechanics and that sort of thing. But he has a tendency to be a bit of an overthinker, and so they just wanted to make sure the number one thing that he focuses on throughout this season was decision-making, and he has done a much better job of that.
On 3rd and with that clock running and just over 7 minutes left in the quarter. And it looks like he's going to send out his punt unit.
I feel like you were clamoring for him to go for it.
I was expecting maybe a little more from Kev's win. With all the disappointment that they've experienced this season, they feel like getting to a plus 500 record after where they were at 4-8 would be a big deal to lead them into what will be a monstrous offseason. As the punt here, but back with the U.S. Bank Stadium, there's Harrison Smith, 203rd career start in what has been a remarkable 14-year run. Good-looking run here by Chris Brooks. Hard to imagine watching this Vikings defense without Smith on the back end. He's been the quarterback of this Brian Flores-led defense. And the guessing game, the speculation.
40 interceptions and 20 sacks. Only Rondé Barber and Charles Woodson, but he has just been a remarkable football player and a lot of fun to watch.
Chris Brooks going to pick up 2, maybe 2.5 piece. 6 Pro Bowls, 2-time All-Pro. As good as any player of his generation. Tune is lit up. Football comes loose. Packers recover with Drake Dabney, one of their call-ups this week. It was
Dabney stepped up since the injury to Jonathan Grenard. And this defense comes with a lot of different pressures. It can come from anywhere.
Turner, second-year rusher, 17th overall pick last year. Hoping that his ascension can continue yards as they begin here from their 20-yard line. This is Ty Chandler getting his first take. So this Green Bay defense, Arch, from this standpoint, you have to wonder where Jeff Hafley's defense is as they gear up for their playoff opener next week. McCarthy off balance throw, and he gets it to Justin Jefferson, but how quickly...
Listen, as I look at this defense, like they certainly have a lot of good players on this defense. And last week they got ran over. You can maybe say that was an aberration, but there's a couple places where I think that they got to look at. I think they're very thin inside football games where somebody has to step up and make a play.
41 points that they gave up last week, most that they've allowed in the game in almost a decade. As we'll get a penalty flag thrown here with Chandler back.
Great game against Chicago. but in the gotta-have-it moments and some third and long situations, they let Caleb Williams scramble and make some plays, and so they weren't able to generate that pass rush. And then last week, I really thought the inside of that defensive line got attacked by the Baltimore Ravens. A key play at the end of the game.
Colin Oliver, who, by the way, is making his debut today, coming back from that torn hamstring that he sustained at the Combine last March. Highly anticipated debut, was the guy coming with the pressure. Ben Sims was the intended target.